It is the Pete Sousa Show. We are coming to you live from the Alico building here in Central Texas. Forgive me for my voice is definitely a little gravelly, but we still have a huge show for you today. We got Allie Cadlabar. She's going to talk to us a little bit about food for families and how important it is here in Central Texas and all over the country. It's a food drive that people can get involved in, and it's so helpful. We also we're going to hear from Ed Werder after the Cowboys loss, and we're going to chat with Cam Stewart about Brianna Chicken Fry. We've got an update on that front, which is always interesting because Cam is the Brianna Chicken Fry expert as I get trash off the desk here. When we get started, speaking of trash, the Cowboys last night, that was a debilitating loss. I watched pretty much all of it. The one cool thing, Scotty's busy right now, but I will say it was pretty interesting. I saw, you had a tweet on Sunday, and you put Jalen Petrie and Terrell Bernard up there, and you talked about how proud you were of these two Baylor guys who are making noise. They always have been. They've been so effective in their careers already, and that was before Jalen Petrie made it. That was before.
Yeah, I posted that after Bernard had the game-winning or the game-sealing, I should say, interception against Patrick Mahomes in the Bills-Chiefs game, and I put Petrie on there because Petrie's he's just awesome, really good start to his career with the Houston Texans, and that he was making forcing turnovers last night.
It's amazing how Twitter, X, whatever, kind of reads your mind, because after he made that play, I swear I was gonna maybe I should post something about how great these guys are. Scotty had already handled it 24 hours earlier.
Well, and again, I've been a Baylor fan my whole life. Went to school at the same time as Robert Griffin and Bryce Petty and a lot of those legends from that era.
Yeah.
And so seeing guys like I could not believe the bad injury luck Griffin had or Corey Coleman had.
Yeah.
I want to see these guys earn it in the NFL. And Bernard and Petrie being the two, I think, biggest leaders off that 21 championship team, just killing it. I mean, Terrell Bernard's a captain this year for the Bills. Yeah.
And Petrie last night, back to the Cowboys game, he was just a constant, nonstop disruption. And he drove the nail into the coffin last night. I mean, basically, if you didn't see the play, there was a ball hit the turf, fumble, Cowboys lineman, whose name I forget right now, picked it up. He got annihilated.
I think.
Yeah, he gets annihilated by Petrie, and the ball comes loose again. And then the Texans score another touchdown en route to a 34-10 win.
So his senior year at Baylor, Petrie, this is bad because I didn't prep for this, but there was some advanced metric like a chaos statistic or a disruption statistic, and he led the country by a huge margin. I forget who put together that advanced statistic, but I saw it his last year at Baylor because it's just he's where the ball
Trouble is his middle name.
Yes, he's where and it's funny because he's kind of a positionless player. Like in the NFL, even he struggled. Is he a safety? Is he a nickel? Is he a linebacker? I mean, he came into Baylor, safety recruit, played linebacker, then back to safety, then into that kind of hybrid. Yeah. But he just gets to the ball and makes plays, man.
Yeah.
I mean, constantly. He's incredible.
He's awesome. So that was the tail end of the Cowboys game, and that's where I thought to myself, wow, Jalen Petrie's amazing, and then shut it off and went to bed. The end of the game, it only got worse. This is a couple things I've been thinking about the Cowboys today. First of all, it has been since the game against the Lions. That was the last game that they won at home last year on New Year's Eve, or the December 30th. And then they have not had fans. Fans in Jerry World have not had a reason to stick around through the fourth quarter. Forget winning a game. They have not had a reason to stay for the entire game since last year on December 30th. It is now November 19th. We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. It's a situation that obviously needs some attention in the offseason, and it will get it. There's no question about that. Before the game, I mean, as if anything else could go wrong for the Cowboys, they had pieces of metal falling from the ceiling of Jerry World when they opened the roof, to which afterward Jerry told Matt Mosley it was fine. Nobody was in danger unless you were one of the media members that was down on the field. I mean, literally came falling not too far from the ESPN set. And if the wrong person is in the wrong place at the wrong time, they get wiped out. But become pretty clear that like reality is not a strong suit of the Cowboys owner right now. And I want to bring up a graphic and then we have some sound. You don't have the graphic, Scotty. I'm just going to read it. I was watching a little bit of McAfee this morning, and Hembo, who does a great job for Pat McAfee, getting some of his stats up there. So the Cowboys, when you think of the Cowboys and you think of Jerry Jones, you think of like a Rolls-Royce operation, right? They make, we mentioned it, they're the only franchise in pro sports valued at more than I think it's $10 billion or $70 billion, $10 billion. Sorry, $10 billion. Okay. A lot of money coming in the door. However, the Cowboys free agent spending in the last 4 off seasons as it ranks in the NFL. Okay. 2024, 32nd, 2023, 28th, 2022, 25th, and 2021, 26th. Like, lest anyone think that Jerry Jones is like the George Steinbrenner of the NFL or the modern day pro sports ownership era. Let me eliminate that thought for you right now. He's not spending the money it takes to win. How about this for you? Travis Henry, Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley, all running backs that you could have signed this past offseason if you're the Dallas Cowboys. They were out there for you. Theoretically, you could have signed them. I mean, obviously, there's a lot to chance. I'm not trying to sit here and be like, it would have been a no-brainer. But there's a lot to when you look at the Cowboys and you're trying to figure out, like, why are they no good? Why are they struggling this year? They didn't do what it takes to be a winner. And, you know, I could understand. I do want to cut Jerry Jones and the ownership group a little bit of slack because this is a team that had won 12 games 3 straight years. So you figure, okay, we can run it back. But you don't get to the mountaintop. There's clearly a hump that you aren't able to get over. Championship teams make a change. I can go all the way back to being a Phillies fan. Like, they could not win. This is before my time, but in 1980, they couldn't win a World Series. So they get Pete Rose. You know, even like let's go to the Miami Heat. You know, Dwayne Wade couldn't do it by himself. They get Shaq. Like, this is how these championships are won. If you're a team that is constantly knocking on the door, but you can't bang it down, you need a little bit of help. And by the way, there's tons of examples that I'm not even sharing right now, but you get the idea. After the game, the Doomsday Podcast, which you can hear still right here on Rogue Media Network, it was illustrated by Ed Werder just how bad the Cowboys have been at home this season. Scotty, cue that up.
Ed, let's lock in on this thing. Let
me start with this. Can I?
Sure.
Can I decide where we start?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. I mean, we'll just go off
The
script.
Cowboys are now 0-5 this year at AT&T Stadium. It's the first time they've started 0-5 at home since 1989. The infamous 1-in-15 year of first-year head coach Jimmy Johnson. Jerry's first year as the owner. So first time since then they've been 0-5 at home. That year they lost all their home games. Their only win was at Washington. And to put it in further perspective, they've been outscored by 118 points in these 5 games. That's the 3rd largest margin in a team's first 5 home games of the season in the Super Bowl era. Only the 2013 Jaguars and the 1966 Falcons were worse than the Cowboys in their first 5 regular season home games. It's just amazing. And Mike McCarthy spoke to it this week and said it's the most remarkable thing he's ever seen in his 18 years as an NFL head coach and in the many years before that as an assistant, that a team that begins the season as the best home team in football over 2 years, it's won 16 straight regular season home games, entering the season, is now the most inept home team in football.
Yeah. And they're not great on the road.
And I haven't been so far.
No.
But they did have won on the road at least
True.
3 times. They beat Pittsburgh somehow. Pittsburgh's the only team with a winning record the Cowboys have beaten all year.
So there you go. That was Ed Werder and Matt Mosley. You can catch them on the Doomsday Pod. It is up on the Rogue Media Network. And it's really, really bad for the Cowboys, to the point where, you know, the Manning cast last night was really having some fun with the Cowboys. And I thought it was brilliant. I talked on Friday a little bit about how attractive it was that Pat McAfee could take someone like Nick Saban and sit there with him and share time with him, and really Nick Saban is just dropping knowledge on us for so long about the inner workings of being a coach. Same thing last night. Bill Belichick joins the Manning cast. And it's like, I really am grateful for all the media and the mediums that come today and give us the ability to see these guys and to hear these stories. Last night, Bill Belichick was doing a tremendous job talking about how the Cowboys don't tackle. Like they don't want to tackle. And moments later, Malik Hooker came up and just made an incredible tackle. Malik Hooker, a safety for the Cowboys. And you just see Belichick nod. He goes, good tackle. And that just like takes you inside the film room almost. Like that's about as excited and positive Bill Belichick will get. But it's not about like his like gushing with emotion. That's not how he rolls. That's kind of what success looks like. Now, there's a lot of talk about Bill Belichick possibly being the head coach of the Cowboys next year. The Deion Sanders stuff continues to heat up. Like, what's going to happen with that? I don't know. Obviously, it's something that'll be fun to track throughout the rest of the season. Another thing we want to talk about as we start the show off today, Joe Douglas getting fired from the New York Jets. I've been open here on this show and with this forum. Like, I went to Richmond with Joe, played football with Joe. Joe was a guy who, after he was done his football career, right away he went to the Ravens and became Brian Billick's guy and is a proven evaluator of talent all the way through Baltimore, from the Eagles to the Chicago Bears, then back to the Eagles, was a key component in the Eagles' ability to win a Super Bowl and assembling the talent to do that for the Eagles. And then he gets to the Jets. And let's go back to a sweet spot for me in life and everything, that if you look at corporations, right, from the top down, it always starts there. If you have a solid owner and that owner is going to be involved, your organization will probably be in pretty good shape. If you have an owner that is a solid owner and chooses not to be involved, you will probably have an organization that is in good shape. If you have a bad owner, a shit owner like Woody Johnson, and he has to be involved, like that's going to be bad for your franchise. And the Jets, I got a note from somebody who is I can't say who, but inside the NFL, right? And the message was this, okay? Joe Douglas has never had it so good. Like, it's the best possible thing that could have happened to him and his career. And if the Jets can't win with this roster that Joe has assembled, no one can. And it's a Woody Johnson thing. And the Woody Johnson thing now spills over into next season. You know, who could potentially be the next head coach of the Jets? Well, we were just talking about the Cowboys. How about Bill Belichick? It's known by it's the worst kept secret around the NFL, to where it gets to someone like me that he doesn't want to work for Woody Johnson. He does not like Woody Johnson. When Bill Belichick was the defensive coordinator for the Jets, Leon Hess was the owner. Leon Hess passes away. The sale goes to the Johnson family of Johnson & Johnson. And Bill Parcells says, hey, I'm going to step aside, Bill. I'm going to anoint you the head coach. There was obviously a communication breakdown between Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells, but ultimately Belichick's the head coach for like a day and a half, and he resigns, you know, on a cocktail napkin, which is sort of like the middle finger to Woody Johnson. And then he goes to the Patriots. The Jets get a couple draft picks, and Bill Belichick spends the next 2 decades kicking their ass up and down the field and winning Super Bowls. And I never say never in sports. It's like all the times that George Steinbrenner fired Billy Martin. Like, I'm not saying it's beyond Woody Johnson and Bill Belichick to get a deal done, or for Jerry Jones and Bill Belichick to get a deal done. Like, Bill Belichick wants to coach very badly, but I can imagine there will be certain stipulations that will be attached to either agreement. But there's a lot to look forward to if you're into like the soap opera that is like the off season in the NFL. and that is the coaching carousel, which is getting ready to spin here, all over pro and college football. Scotty, you got anything?
I think what's a little alarming when you talk about Woody Johnson is how the parallel, could you say, between the Jets and the Cowboys in that regard. And people often say, oh, well, if Jerry just wouldn't be the GM, maybe it would be okay. But I have a suspicion any GM would struggle to work with Jerry because Jerry would still want to have his thumb on the team in the same way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's easy to, talk about Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, but man, as a lifelong Cowboys fan, the coaching and quarterback and other talent that's come through the Cowboys over the last 2 decades is high. High levels of talent.
They've drafted well.
They've drafted extremely well, especially over the last 7-8 years. And, if you look at Bill Parcells as a coach, Wade Phillips as a coach, Tony Romo as a quarterback, you're not missing there. There was misses somewhere else, and it goes back to the top. So that was my only reflection as you were talking, is just the parallel tracks. And I don't know which is more painful. The Jets, other than those couple of kind of fluky Mark Sanchez years, have mostly just been bad. And when that's the case, you can deal with it. Unfortunately, the Cowboys have mostly been really good, but not good enough. And this season, we're very bad.
Yeah, and they haven't made the changes, right? That one last thing that could possibly put you over the top. Another piece of news, just to share with you, something that hits home with me, is the 76ers. They got annihilated last night to become, along with the Washington Wizards, the worst team in the NBA. Following the game, Nick Nurse and the players. Nick Nurse was an hour late to coming out to talk to the media. That's a long, long time. That never happens. I mean, the coach is usually available for the media 10 minutes after a game, max. I mean, there's a 10-minute cooling off period before the locker room opens for media to go in there, which the NBA is trying to wiggle its way out of, the Players Association, but that's how it is right now. And after that 10-minute period or before, the coach will usually go to the podium or outside the locker room, wherever he talks to the assembled beat writers and media that cover the team. Nick Nurse took 1 hour, and when he came out, his throat kind of sounded like mine, and he said that there was a lot of communication and a lot of talking, and a lot of the messages that were shared between player and player, coach to players, were received. Then a little while ago, and I talked with Cam about this, Shams Charania comes out with the news that Tyrese Maxey in that locker room challenged Joel Embiid. And he challenges Embiid because Embiid doesn't show up to stuff on time, whether it's practice, whether it's team functions. And Embiid is supposed to be the leader of the team. You can't, that's not how you win. And Joel Embiid, deep down inside, has probably got to feel like shit about this, because I can tell you, I try to draw on personal experience a lot of times. Before I came to work here at Rogue Media, and before I started to move, more full-time into calling games for ESPN, I worked at KWTX here in the local market in Waco. And I was very on my stuff when I first started. I would get there 3 hours early. I was anchoring the morning news, right? So you'd wake up at 2:00 in the morning. By the time I left 7 years into my appointment as the morning anchor, things were going pretty well. I was getting paid pretty good. My responsibilities had been to my liking. Everything was going my way, and people in management were making life very easy for me, to the point where, I would get to the station 20 minutes before a show every morning. And let me tell you, I didn't feel good about that. And my team around me would constantly call me out, you're missing this. And as much as you can laugh about it and joke about it, there he is, he's late again. There is a bad seed, right, that gets planted within a seed of dysfunction. And I can go to Joe Buck, who wrote a book a few years ago, and he talks about when he was working for the St. Louis Cardinals and he was doing television for them. And towards the end of his run, before he went strictly national, again, it's all relative you could be a civil engineer that doesn't show up to work on time, or you can be someone who works in sanitation. Like, you get the idea. Joe Buck said when he was working for the Cardinals, calling games for them, towards the end of his career, he was getting to the ballpark, as I remember him putting in the book, like 40 minutes before a game. Like, and he talked about the fact that that was not the best version of himself. And looking back, he was disappointed about the way that he handled that and the way it probably affected the rest of his broadcast team. Like, and so now we have Joel Embiid. Like, he's in that boat right now. And people have constantly talked about Joel's not in shape. Joel doesn't have the dog in him. Joel Embiid, by all accounts, is like the greatest guy out there. It doesn't mean you're not a terrific person, but if you want your organization or you want to be a part of a winner, there are certain things you have to do that are going to elevate your team. And Joel Embiid is not doing them. And like, did I know that he was late for all these functions? No, I didn't. Does it surprise me? Not at all. I worked for 2 NBA teams, and I never saw. I mean, once in a while you'd hear stuff. Guys would have a late night. You'd have a player that you knew was out all night on the road, and he would come in and say he couldn't play because he was sick, and he'd be out with like flu-like symptoms. Like, if that happened more and more, or too often, a guy would get traded or cut or whatever. Like, but that rarely happened. I don't remember a player of consequence just not showing up to stuff. Again, I was after I got there the year after Allen Iverson left. But even Allen Iverson was a guy who left everything he had on the floor every night. Joel Embiid hardly plays. And he got into an altercation with Marcus Hayes, the sports writer, which we covered here not too long ago, for Marcus Hayes challenging him for being available to play. But Marcus Hayes took it a little too far and brought Joel Embiid's family into it. So that situation got blown up, but it almost like misdirected the attention of the article, which was, you're not doing what you need to do for your team to win. So that saga continues to play itself out in Philadelphia. The good news for the Sixers is, honestly, they're 13 games into the season, and you play 82 games and 8 teams plus the play-in. Like, they're not at all. They're still going to be a factor when it's all said and done. And maybe this is what Joel Embiid needs. I have no idea. Maybe this puts or lights a fire under him. Either way, much better news for you. Ali Calabar is on the other side of the break. For my money, the best reporter in all of America. I'm not lying. Talking news reporter, talking person. Scotty, I'm telling you, she's the best. And right now, she's like a hidden gem in Central Texas. And before you know it, she's going to be everywhere. So enjoy the personal connection you have with her if you're here in Central Texas that you have right now. But Allie talks about food for families. She's working over there at KWTX doing a lot of good stuff. And KWTX does great stuff. And Food for Families is pretty awesome. So check it out. Allie Calabar coming up on the other side of the break.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
All is right with the basketball world. God's gift to the game of basketball, the Boston Celtics, are back in the NBA Finals, baby. I don't think the Mavs did anything special they played well enough to win and win pretty good. You know what I mean? I thought the Celtics didn't show up to play at all, and maybe if they showed some fight in the second half, they would have lost by 15 or so.
Is he in the Red Sox Team Hall of Fame?
He is also in the Red Sox Hall of Fame.
Something about this guy being in the Team Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I did. So
Deserving, man.
Which seems like it fit.
Sports.
You should probably roll with like security or something.
What? What?
So you guys. So by the way, this
security?
is. By the way, I appreciate the fact that you really put yourself together.
I did. I usually don't wear makeup on my days off. So.
No, but so today's a day off for you, and it's particularly not your day off.
Yeah, it's not my. I told Jared my schedule. I'm off Tuesday and Thursday, and he was like, "Wow, your schedule is worse than it usually is." He was like, "I didn't think it could get worse, but that's terrible."
It is tough being you're a morning reporter. Obviously, people know that, so your hours are crazy, and then you're a morning anchor.
Yeah.
On the weekends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so fun.
So today is this is a big week, though. There's a reason why,
right?
That you have today off.
Yeah,
it's food for families.
Food for families. I actually thought I had Tuesday and Thursday off on the schedule, so I was like, okay, that's interesting, but I'll just embrace it. A break from the normal week, and then I talked with our boss
Bob
or
Walters.
Your former boss, and I was supposed to be off yesterday, but I was in his office and I was like, oh well, I'm here, so can I have tomorrow off? Anyways, I think he would have let me have any day off, but I was just like, well, I'm mentally prepared to have Tuesday and Thursday off. So anyways, it's Food for Families week, so I work Friday all day. Super exciting.
So tell me about Food for Families. Like explain it for people who don't know. Give me a refresher even.
Okay, it's the largest one-day food drive in Central Texas. We have KWTX crews and also food pantries at 19 locations this year. They added Riesel, and
Zach's from Riesel.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they added Riesel this year, and so basically we have a bunch of KWTX reporters going live from all of these 19 different locations, and people bring in donations, food donations, money, monetary donations all day. And at the end of the day, you total up how much, and it's usually a really big number. And I was talking to some of the food pantries, and they were saying that this year, I feel like every year they're like, we really need the support. We really need people to show up. But, but this year they really need it again. A lot of those food pantries depend on Food for Families to restock their shelves for like Colleen Food Care Center. They were saying a third of the year, so 4 months of the year.
That's amazing.
It stocks their shelves, so it's a really big deal. And for the food pantries, but I love it so much because you see all these people come out that may not even usually do it, and they come out and donate, and they're just so excited to donate, and they're so excited to see KWTX, and also it's just a really good thing, and I'm very passionate about it. Sometimes everyone looks forward to it, but it is a long day.
It's really long. You have to. It's one of those examples like you really have to love it,
right?
Because
you're
on all day long,
all day live hits all day, and so
but
some people
even aside from the live hits, you're out there totally accessible.
Right.
People love you. They know who you are. They're going to come up and say hi all day.
Yes. Last year I was in Cameron, and it's a smaller food pantry there. And there was just like kind of a little gap of time, I think from like 10 to noon. And there wasn't too much going on. And so I went into the Brookshire Brothers, maybe it was like Dollar General in the parking lot there, and got signs and markers, and we made signs and stood at the corner and was like, come donate here. And then we made a sign. We made a sign with like how much they had and like what their goal was. And so we were just marking that off with more people coming in. So, I mean, I'm not the most creative person, so the signs didn't look that great, but it was fun to, be a part of trying to get people there and going. I really love it.
So what year was it when you were rolled up in this?
That was last year.
So
Yeah.
what did you do?
Oh my gosh, Marlin, we have such a good time in Marlin and Cameron. And so, those are some smaller sites. You may not get as much traffic coming in. And so I'm always just thinking like, okay, let's do something fun. Let's get people out here. Like if they aren't sure if they want to come out, like at least it looks like we're having fun and they want to come join us. So they had the big Food for Families sign, and I was like, okay, what we're gonna do is y'all are gonna roll me up, and then like we practice this stuff too, and then like whenever I say so, I'm gonna roll out, and then we're gonna like say blah 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 about what get people out here. But the people in Marlin and Cameron, they're just always so willing to jump in, like with my crazy ideas. Like whenever I had the boxes stacked up, I was like, it was toward the end of the day.
Like a Food for Families like real?
No, but I need to make one.
Can you send me these clips when you're done?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, last year it was getting toward the end of the day. People were getting tired. I was like, all right, we have all these empty boxes here. Let's do something fun. I had a great group of ladies out of the I think one of the organizations in Marlin.
This was in Marlin. Okay.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, y'all, I'm gonna knock the box. Well, y'all are gonna be like, where's Allie? Where's Allie? And then I'm gonna knock the boxes down.
I just remember some lady going, Allie,
yeah, Allie, where is she? And then I knocked the boxes down. I'm like, I'm right here. We have too many empty boxes. You guys need to come out and fill
like
them.
The Incredible Hulk or something.
Yeah,
crashing through.
I will go all out for Food for Families.
Well, and that's one of the cool things. Like being in news, a lot of times we have to stay buttoned up, or now you have to stay buttoned up, right? So like there's a lot of like important stuff happening, but this is one day, and this is why KWTX and their leadership is the best. They're like, we trust you, get creative, have a day, like have a good time. Yeah. And it's perfect for someone like you.
I love it. And because I try to go, well, I do go out for all of my stories, and I do have the luxury to like kind of have fun with a lot of my stories. But yeah, Food for Families, you have to mentally prepare for it because it's a lot of energy, but that's the day where you're like, okay, we're going to do all of the creative things. We're going to do our best. We're going to go all out 100% all day. So
it's got to be nice for you too, actually. So you are working, you're off Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. You'll go in with a full head of steam.
Yeah, definitely. I have a whole day to actually get some sleep.
And you're going to be in Temple this year.
Yes. So that's news. That was news to me yesterday. Found that out yesterday. Well, it's funny because I actually had a bet with someone in Marlin, and he's a big Aggies fan. I'm a big LSU fan.
What's the guy's name?
His name is Judge Jay Elliott.
Yeah.
My guy. Love him. We actually made this bet in August, and he was like, LSU played A&M. And so it was like, okay, if A&M wins, you have to wear a LSU hat for one of the live hits in Marlin. And then if A&M wins, then I'll wear an A&M hat for one of the hits. And he actually called me after LSU lost. It was like 11 p.m. on a Saturday. He calls me. He's like, hey, girl, I got your hat ready for you. So I'm kind of sad that I won't be able to do that.
Yeah.
It'll look like I've planned it to where I won't have to wear an A&M hat for Food for Families, but I did not plan it. I'll be in Temple. I'm excited to see what kind of craziness we can come up with. So I'm hoping that everyone's just down for like some craziness, some creativity.
If you can describe the energy around the station and KWTX around an event like this.
It's really exciting. Just like kind of a little bit, I would say there's like a lot of anticipation because you have like so many new people that have never done it before. They're like, what is this? Why is it such a big deal? Like, why are y'all freaking out? Why do I have to stay so late? But it's like, no, you have to experience it.
Yeah.
It's so fun. And so it just gives you a good feeling. Like, you have to work later. Like, some people are salaried, so they may not get paid those extra hours, but you are donating your time to helping serve the people in Central Texas. And so
it's the best. It's literally the best day. I was usually out in Gatesville.
Yeah.
And I was like the warm-up act for Rusty. Because then Rusty would come out after.
But you're like, everyone loved you. So it was like exciting.
It was an honor to be able to be out there and to meet all those people. And everybody, it's just a day, especially on the heels of like the election and all that. Like there's just negativity out in the world. It's a day where everybody can agree on this one thing, right? That we're going to bond together to make Central Texas a better place through food donation, because hunger and security is a huge deal.
Right.
And it's like, it's not really a secret, but it is.
Yeah, it's crazy because again, like every year it feels like, if you're not donating last year or you haven't donated, you need like come out and donate. Like they need the support. And, this year it's the same, like come donate. I know like kind of last year we didn't raise as much as we thought we would.
Oh, really?
Remember?
I do remember.
Like we had a goal and like we didn't really meet that goal, and
which was nice to know that we didn't make up that we made the goal when we did.
Right.
I remember
And
that.
I feel like it really showed how much people were struggling, that they may not have even been able to donate because they're the people that normally would donate couldn't that year.
Yeah.
So hopefully things are looking up this year.
But that's a good point. Like a lot of times people that donate are people that are like in the trenches as well, like that need the help.
Yeah.
What have you done stories? Forgive me because I've been away. Have you done stories like ramping up for Food for Families? And what have you learned about this year in doing those?
So usually the week before, I go live at different food pantries.
Yeah.
So yesterday I was live at the Food Care Center in Killeen, one of the largest, if not the largest, food pantry, especially in Bell County.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow I'll be live in Riesel with the new food pantry. But yesterday I've really, learned that I think they went up by 20% of how many families they served over the past year. So like, I think they served like 120,000 in Killeen, like the year before. And then over this past year, they've served 149,000 families, which is huge because there's been some changes with the supplier that they usually get their food from. And so that's made it a lot harder to get non-perishable food items. And so that has been a real struggle for all the pantries in Central Texas. So they really need that those non-perishable food items. But I think a lot is stressing the importance of monetary donations too, because $1 goes a lot farther in the hands of the food pantry because they can get it at
it's like you get like so many pounds of food out of $1.
I'm trying to think. When you go to like Sam's and you can get more things for like less money. What is it? What is it
bang
called?
For your buck?
No, it's like you can get it.
Anybody? Cam?
Like no, wait, no. Like if you buying in bulk, they can buy it in bulk, unlike people, other people. So
how can people donate and get involved?
Okay, very important. So you can go to kwtx.com/foodforfamilies or something like that. Just type it in.
Yeah.
And you can see all of the locations there. And you can also donate right now. Like Pete, you could literally go on your phone and donate.
Really? I know
right
Rogue
now.
Media is going to donate.
You can donate right now. There's like a button where you can donate, and then you can donate to a specific food pantry that you want that money to go to. And then you can also on Friday come out to Temple and see me, and you can donate at any of those locations. There are going to be people collecting those donations. And
what's the most powerful moment for you in your time at KWTX? You're now like a veteran around here, for like being out there when someone has come out to like either donate or something that's really moved you.
Something that's really moved me. I don't know. I think there's just so many. I can talk about one thing that's moved me personally. And then like, there's just been so many times just seeing people come up and maybe just donate. They see that we're set up and they just donate like maybe just $20, but that $20 goes a long way.
Yeah.
And they're like kind of like sorting through their wallet because they want to help.
Yeah.
I think that's really special. And just seeing the people that come out with those big checks and like the just donating a big chunk of money, like that's a lot too. So I think just all together, seeing people come out and give. I think they're all really special moments. For me, I think the sweetest thing that I've ever experienced was whenever it was a caregiver and a very elderly man. His name was Walter. They came out, they lived around the Cameron area, and they saw me in Cameron for one of the live shots, and the caregiver drove the elderly man out to see me because he loved watching me every morning and would always talk about watching me and all of that. Came out and met me at the Cameron location, and he was just so excited. Like, he had to be in his 90s. Like, he was just so excited to see me. That was just so sweet. And then I found out he died a few months later. Remember, I called you crying?
I do remember.
I called Pete crying because I was like, why am I so upset about this?
Because it's and that is, it speaks to, and I think this is underrated still, especially now as we have so many different mediums where we get our information, our entertainment, our news. The power of television is something more than I think, until you are a part of it, it's tough to comprehend. So I know you're a humble young person. It's hard for you to imagine that somebody will be watching you and be like, I need to go meet her.
I know.
And donate money.
I'm like, me?
You can't even wrap your mind around it.
No, I'm like, why? Because I remember, when I'm feeling really run down or sad or whatever, and I'm like, oh man, it's going to be hard to go to work because, you kind of have to push all of those thoughts and feelings aside and, do your job, which is smile and do your story for the day.
Yeah.
My Papa, has told me, you don't know how much it means to somebody to watch you and just to see you may be the only person they see smile that day. So I'm like, real? In my head, I'm like, what? That doesn't, what? But that's the case for some people. And I'm very blessed to be that person or one of the people a part of that. So anyways, yeah, it does.
Allie Calabar, you're a superstar. One question for you. Should LSU fire Brian Kelly?
I don't know. LSU's going to do what LSU's going to do. They're notorious for, if they're not having a good season, you're out. And they've lost the past 3 games. Oh my gosh. So I don't know. I see them sticking with him because they paid a pretty penny for him, and they'll have to pay him a very pretty penny to leave. So I don't know. It depends on how their athletic foundation is doing financially.
That's way more than I ever thought I'd get out of you on that.
Well, they paid Coach O a big chunk of money.
What about Mike the Tiger? Do they need to let him go back into his natural habitat and stop putting him in a cage?
That was so wild to see that on Facebook. So many people were coming after the governor because they're like, what about our streets? What about our roads? Why can't you fix our roads instead of bringing a tiger out? I don't know. I honestly was at that game and it was so underwhelming. We didn't even notice that a tiger was on the, we were after the game ended, we were like, where was Mike?
Was it because you were drinking? Allie?
No, it wasn't even that. I was paying attention. It was just I guess they just rolled out Omar, not even Mike. It was Omar the tiger. Not even Omar? Mike. Omar, this tiger that's apparently acclimated to social environments. So I don't know if they should do that again, but I don't know. I don't know enough, but Brian Kelly, I don't know, because people have been asking me about what do you think of, it's always what do you think about Brian Kelly? And I'm like,
I'm not a fan. I never have been. I couldn't imagine going to play for a guy like that, but that's just me.
He's just we've just had so many coaches that are good old Southern boys.
Yeah, he's not that.
The face of Raising Cane's.
Yes.
And he doesn't have that
no
Louisiana accent.
Are you still pulling for Dave Aranda?
I have no idea. Baylor politics. I don't know.
Cadlebar.
Can
Yes,
only
you
keep
love
up.
Dave Aranda. He's an LSU guy. He helped you win a national championship.
Wait,
Stop
he was
looking
there?
at your hair.
He was there with Joe Burrow?
Yeah, he was a defensive coordinator when you were there.
Everyone's eyes were just on Joe
What
Burrow.
about what we did with your hair a couple years ago? It really worked, right?
He went up to me and was like, what if you just did like this? And I honestly, I try.
It looks awesome. Allie Cadlebar and her side bangs. You will see them all at Food for Families doing good like you always do. Allie, thank you so much.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
You are here with your shoot first point guard, Corey Dickman.
Also, if you're not creating new fans in a small market, then you're not creating that base of people to go to games and pay for merchandise and pay for stuff and concessions at the Moda Center and yada yada.
Yeah, let's talk draft. That's the only thing we have to look forward to.
The only thing we have to look forward to. That's what I will teach my son. You will teach your daughter as Blazers fans. It's like, look, the two most exciting times of the year for us are the draft lottery and the draft itself. Like, here we are. This is our thing. Give me some memories and thoughts. I know you had mentioned kind of the first time you had met Bill. What were some of those first memories that came back when you heard the news?
Sports.
Now, there are a couple pictures floating around the World Wide Web or Instagram. A lot of people are looking out for Brianna Chicken Fry now because, as you mentioned, being from her hometown, we're talking about a nice person.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Would you rather I tee you up so you can yell about a Monty? Would you like that?
Tony Amonte? No, I like Tony Amonte.
Who's the coach?
Jim Montgomery, maybe.
Jim.
No. I mean, what do you want me to say? Yeah, she's a nice person. Yeah.
So she's a nice
10 years.
So she's from your hometown.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Zach Bryan and her break up. Now she is in a situation where there's a lot of rumors flying around.
We let the liquor talk.
So there's
I found out about that this weekend. So I hate that song, but I'm on board with it.
All right. So what did you find out about that song?
So apparently that was the song she was singing when Zach Bryan was like, "Don't you ever sing another guy's song." And I'm like, such a dick move. And the Bruins actually did a video last week where they were all singing that song. Like,
Stop it.
Walking into the building, they were like, "Last night we let the liquor talk." Yeah.
To get her back?
No, just to support her. As
Yeah. To get her back.
As like, this guy's a psycho kind of thing.
All of Boston Garden?
No, the Bruins players, like as they're walking in, like their social media person had the phone.
Really?
And, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I didn't share because I was just like, oh, they're just singing this shitty bro country song. But
So everybody's behind Chicken Fry.
You don't fuck with us, man.
All right. So you know, so she went to the
Okie from Muskogee fuck with us, man. No way.
So she went to the Tyson fight.
Apparently, yes.
With the guy.
Two
guys. One of them. So she's going. We talked about this. Like when people break up, they go back to their safe zone, back to their friends, their friend group.
Yes.
And I told you, I said, Cam, you got to see this. Your girl Chicken Fry is out carousing. What are you laughing at?
Because I thought this was funny, man. I thought this was funny.
What are you? So she was out carousing and she was at the fight, but you said no. She's not carousing. This guy is a good friend of hers.
She's basically with two of her cousins. Yeah.
Okay.
Like one of them actually is her cousin. And the other one that gets on these pictures that was all over social media
is someone that they grew up together, like went to high school together, and are like so close as like they're basically cousins because they were right down the street from me.
And you can verify she still keeps deep ties to these people.
Yes. So that was the point of from what she was talking about on the podcast with Dave a couple weeks ago or last week or whatever it was, about Zach flipping out on these losers who were just riding her coattails and everything. And that's who she was talking about.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she keeps deep ties with them. And it's not like they're like going on tour with her or anything like that. They're not like, these celebrities who just get posses like the what's the stupid HBO show?
Entourage.
Like it's not like that. They go to her shows and stuff when they're doing stuff in Boston and maybe New York, but like this being at the fight would have been like the most they rode the coattails of anything. You know what I mean? Like these people have lives, they have jobs, they like, you know what I mean? But she goes back home a lot.
What's your problem with Entourage?
It's just not a good show. I used to like it when I was, like my balls were dropping. I thought it was cool. And then, I read a book.
It's a great show. Read a book what?
Like I don't know. I became an adult. And I was like, okay. Same thing with Friends.
Friends is different than they're both great shows. I mean, I'll tell you this.
Entourage should be like, imagine what it would be like if you were a star fucker. Pretty cool, right? Which it would be. Don't get me wrong.
But it's a real glimpse into like, it's based on reality to a degree.
I guess.
I can't figure out if you're Turtle or E. So that's where I'm stuck right now. Yo, you're basically if Turtle and E had a baby.
Zach kind of looks like Turtle. Like if he put the hat a little crooked, like
he just turned it around.
He could be Turtle a little bit.
Bring yourself up, Zach.
As much as I would hate to be E, I can understand where you're coming from.
All right, so Cam,
he's a big hockey fan.
You say that Chicken Fry is with her family, but then again, we see a picture of her, and you don't recognize this person on the TikTok.
I mean, I don't know. She could have been friends with this guy for 10 years. I don't know. It looked like just a random TikTok. Like they were just doing something, and he was kind of.
But she had a.
This is where I'm not the Chicken Fry expert, though. You know what I mean? Like I can identify some of her family members and close friends from Rockland, and tell you that they're not dating. But I don't know this guy.
All right, let me ask you this question.
Okay. Yeah.
Over the course of the past few weeks since we've talked, has anything bubbled up on the Chicken Fry front that is worth reporting?
No, that's what I mean. Like,
so you're not a Chicken Fry expert.
I told you that.
But you on your show about.
I said I know him. I know where she's actually fucking from, and this guy just. I think she's in like Abington or something. Like, no, she's in Rockland. Like, I went to high school with her.
Did you want to
reach? I know
what
her last name is.
Do you ever reach out to Kirk Minahan?
No.
Okay. Did you want to reach out to him? Be like.
No, because then, first off, if they had any kind of reaction, it would be like any kind of positive reaction. It would be like this, where now I'm the Chicken Fry expert. I don't give you the answers you want. You're like, you don't know shit about her. Shit.
All right, well, let's go to something that's your sweet spot.
We're moving away from one. I think
you talk. No, this is good. This is frustrating for me, but as a Celtics guy, lifelong, how does it make you feel that the Sixers are in free fall? 2-12, worst team in the NBA. Tell me what you just saw. This is news to me. This is just developing now.
Yeah. So Shams reported this. That there's a team meeting.
I did know this.
It's that time of the year. They're 2-11. They're tied for the worst record in the NBA, and apparently, Tyrese Maxey called a team meeting where he was calling out Joel Embiid for being late to practice and everything, and how it negatively affects the team, the other players, the coaches, and everything like that. Honestly, like as fun as that is, I'd rather the Sixers be competitive. Like this is their big rival, right? Is the Celtics, Celtics and the Knicks, right? And the Celtics and the Knicks are in this mix. It kind of stinks that Philly's just going to fucking go into free fall, just going to completely tank it already.
Oh, I think they'll turn it around.
But it's like I want them to be competitive because, again, the Celtics always beat them. So I don't it doesn't matter to me if they're good or if they're garbage, because they're always going to beat them. But if they're garbage, we're not going to beat them in the playoffs.
This is
Which
where
I love seeing the Sixers fans in particular lose their fucking minds.
Well, no, let me tell you, this is where I start to get pissed, because I love Joel Embiid, like, as a guy. I'm sure like he's probably the best guy around. But at the end of the day, he's a shit employee. He is. He's
not a leader.
He's not a leader. And people try to compare him to Shaq. I think that's a joke. Shaq won titles. Shaq really changed the game.
And there's questions about Shaq's leadership for sure.
Yeah.
But Shaq showed up to play.
Yes.
Every night.
Every night he showed up to play. And
almost always was he effective.
And I don't know. This honestly sounds Maxey. It sounds like Kobe and Shaq, really, in a weird way, because that's how it was. I don't know that Shaq was late for shit. I know he showed up out of shape every year. And that's what Joel Embiid does all the time. And this report by Shams is clarification. I'm sure a lot of people close to the Sixers already knew this. I did not. But this is clarification that this is a bad look for the Sixers to try to take a guy like Joel Embiid and make him something he is not, or allow him to push you to make him something he is not, which is the cornerstone of a franchise. He's not that guy. It sucks because he's amazing. And like, that's when, last thing, on Inside the NBA years ago, when Chuck and Shaq are like, hey man, you're the guy, like you need to kind of take it over. If you're going to be the next one, you got to be a dog. Like, now I know this is the stuff they're talking about, right?
Because they can probably see it.
Yeah, and they hear
I
it
think
too.
They did the same thing with Iverson.
Well, Iverson was different now, same as to what you said. Now, Iverson didn't show up for shit at all, but that guy he played all 82, unless you literally kept him off the floor, like blocking it with your body. I mean, he was going to go out there and play. Embiid is the exact opposite, which is why, and to me, I'm going to go get off my lawn here. That's why this iteration of the Sixers blows, because they're soft. Their fans are soft, in my opinion. Like, the majority of the people that pack that arena every night, they're not like.
That's what happens, man. Like, when this is the perfect example of like when Embiid is the guy, like it'll soften up the whole fan base. Because the way we treat stars in the NBA now, this is me sounding like get off my lawn too. Like, this generation. No, but seriously, like how much we prop up one guy in an NBA team, and like those guys can't get questioned. This finally has happened with Maxey, but no one's been like questioning Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And you've had some veterans on the scene, like Kyle Lowry and things like that. But
Jimmy Butler was jettisoned because he couldn't get along with, or it didn't make sense with Ben Simmons. And he probably challenged Embiid.
And so then all the fans are also in this boat of like, all right, well, it's Embiid. It's Embiid. We'll do everything to get to, cater this to Joel because he's a top 5 player in the league. And then they get soft. Which has to feel wild to say that the Sixers fans have gone soft.
Yeah, and back to the Iverson point, when he was a Sixer, he embodied their fan base. Like, that's why Philadelphia loved Allen Iverson, because he personified although he was extremely gifted, right? I mean, he was throwing his body everywhere, every night. Yeah, and people kind of dug that. You know this, you're old school. Like, people knew that Iverson was out till all hours of the night, and he came in, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Like, that's amazing.
It's a skill in and of itself.
It is. All right, Cam Stewart, you can catch him this afternoon with Matthew Mosley. Does anybody ever call him Matthew Mosley?
I don't think so.
With Matt Mosley. Mosley's going to have a lot to talk about, dude.
Yep. Cowboys.
Mosley's Doomsday podcast was unbelievable. Cam, I can't thank you enough. Your show is back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace and chicken grease.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is Stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
I mean, yeah, a new coach comes in, they're going to turn the roster. I think that's just we've got all these transfer portal stats and what Dion did and what Fritz has done. I mean, that's the deal, man. That's the game that's being played nowadays.
Maybe a little bit unknown at quarterback. I mean, unknown to the rest of the world, but you know, he dove into the portal and got a guy who is super athletic.
South Dakota State's really good. Give us a little bit of breakdown about what they can do and what Oklahoma State needs to be worried about.
But look at that form right there. I need to say nothing else about this because I found one.
It is Matt Mosley, and it's the Obstructed View podcast, Rogue Media Network. I think they're learning that there's really no wonderful view of me. See, I feel like they think this feed's going to be really wonderful.
There must have been no BS, like 20 scouts, 15 to 20 NBA scouts there to see him, and he was top 5.
When your old number wasn't working, I went through various channels to track you down. So unfortunately, you can never get away from me. But I'm happy.
No.
I'm happy to have you today.
No, thanks for having me. And you know we always family, no matter where I'm at.
All is right with the basketball world. God's gift to the game of basketball, the Boston Celtics are back in the NBA Finals, baby. I don't think the Mavs did anything special. They played well enough to win and win pretty good. You know what I mean? I thought the Celtics didn't show up to play at all, and maybe if they showed some fight in the second half, they would have lost by 15 or so. Is he in the Red Sox Team Hall of Fame?
He is also in the Red Sox Hall of Fame.
Something about this guy being in the Team Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I did.
So,
deserving, man.
Which seems like it fits.
Welcome to a special edition of the Doomsday Podcast. Look at this. We got one of the great golfers in the world, certainly one of the great pass rushers in NFL history.
But he also had a vision for you. And so it was like you had the best of both worlds, right? You had somebody on you early, and then you had somebody who was maybe more relaxed.
What were a couple of your biggest takeaways? The person you referred to that I spoke with, I've spoken to some personnel people and general managers of the league to get some, independent, objective assessments of the players the Cowboys picked, and we'll go through that. Has the general manager changed at all in the draft for you?
Nope, it's been the same since I was here the last time.
We are Rogue Media Sports.